Hey guys, my name is Jung and we've been working really hard to develop the program that we're going to launch next year, or 12-month program with Fabio Garcia, Misael Diaz, and Left for Faith. And we were talking yesterday about how we can show you some of the stuff that we're going to keep doing. And I know some of you have been on listening to the recording calls, or we're in the call live, and we talk about some of the invisible boundaries. The total program is going to talk about 72 invisible boundaries. So I was thinking on which boundary I'm going to bring you, and I say, well, let me use one of those whiteboard videos that we're going to add to the program to explain how the invisible boundaries work. And I think that the false closure boundary is a great example for what we want to do. You know, the false closure boundary, I think, is the biggest obstacle for every person that want to achieve success. They want to achieve change. They want to do something different. And that's what we want to explain today. So we're here in the comfort zone, right? Everybody's in a type of some type of comfort zone. We want to go here to achieve something different, to change something, right? Success. Where we are, we're here, right? When? Now. Where we want to go? We want to go there. When? Well, I wish it's now, right? But this is not a time machine. So let's say that we get there then. How we get there? Well, this moment we don't know. Don't know. When we get there, we will know. Right? This process is the process of learning. Right? The process of learning. Somewhere during that process, maybe some of you guys are here, some of you guys are there, but somewhere on that middle of the process, our best thinking, BT, our best thinking is going to get an understanding. Okay? And when we get that understanding on this point, we think that we know. Everybody has heard, oh, I know. So we think that we know, right? That thinking creates the boundary of false closure. Why? What happens when we think that we know? Well, we stop learning. And when we stop learning, we stop trying, right? So we're trying to get there, right? But be bumping against this point. So we give up. And we start blaming everything. The system doesn't work, the economy, everything. We start blaming everything. But we are the problem, right? Because we think that we know. So now, what we need to do is upgrade to a better thinking, right? Create more possibilities. Improve our thinking. How we do that? Well, we need to get an understanding. Understanding. Right? But understanding is not enough. We need to get an intellectual insight. Right? And that intellectual insight, delegate it to habit. Right? So from the understanding to the habit is a process. It's not change. It's a process. It can lead to change. Let me give you an example. So we're talking about habits. Let me give you an example. I used to spend my summers with my grandfather, and he used to live in a farm, and he had a huge hammer, a sledgehammer, one of those construction hammer, and I was carrying the hammer to break rocks, and I was lifting the hammer from the end. And he explained to me that if I lift the hammer and separate my hands, it's gonna be easier to lift it, and then put my hands together when it's falling. I got it. Makes sense. So I grab the hammer, I try again, and what I did, I put my hands together again. So it's easy to hurt your back and your shoulder, right? I had the understanding, right? I had the intellectual insight, but I needed to practice. I needed to delegate it to habits. So I needed to change it. That was a process of learning. That's a process of learning. So let me give you another example. You know, some of the people. So there is some people afraid to fly, right? Even a phobia of flying, right? So let's say I'm talking to one of those persons about flying, and I bring in the statistic of how faster and safe is to travel by plane than traveling by car. So a statistic like how many people die in an hour traveling by plane, and how many people die in an hour traveling by car. Most likely, at the end of that conversation, we're going to have an understanding, right? That is safer to travel by plane and it's faster. Now, that person, as soon as he's going to travel again, right, is going to be on the plane, and what's going to happen? Well, it's going to feel anxiety. It's going to be afraid. It's going to feel the terror again. Why? Because the body is going to respond to how that person is programmed before, right? The intellectual inside is a part of the body that is collecting the information. There is a different part of the body that manages your behavior, that manages how your emotions, right? So for your beliefs, that process is necessary an emotional interaction. Okay, emotional interaction. So for habits, you need an understanding, an intellectual insight, and delegated to habit. For beliefs, you need an emotional interaction. Okay, so what happened then? We have our best thinking bumping against this point. How we get through, how we improve our thinking? Well, the first step is to ask ourselves, what we're doing is working? You see, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. We think that we're looking at the world, but we're looking in a mirror. We're looking actually in a mirror. Right? So I think Jung was the one that said that when we change, the things we see change for us. So we need to change first. Okay? How we do that change? Well, ask yourself, is that fitness plan is working for you? That financial plan is working for you? That growth plan is working for you? Probably you're bumping against that better thinking point. That's why we want to invite you to this 12-month program. Why? Because the best way to break through this invisible boundary is through repetition and emotion. Right? Habits and beliefs. Repetition and emotion. So what kind of repetition? You're going to be around like-minded individuals. Right? We're going to grow together. You're going to be in a community where you're going to be able to share and to learn how to break through those invisible boundaries. Right? The emotional part is actually a 12-month program that is going to help you evaluate if the last 12 months were really what you were expecting. I just assure you that you're going to achieve in these 12 months more than you achieved in the last 12 years. Misael Diaz, Left for Faith, Fabio Garcia, and myself, we've been through this program and we have amazing results, and we know that you can achieve those results too. Join the program.